Hi, my name is John Jarrell, and I am the second vice chair of the El Paso County Democratic Party, and I'm here to talk to you about the basics of canvassing and how to use Minivan. So if you haven't been canvassing before, what it looks like is you will have a list of contacts and addresses. Load it on your phone with a map, and these are targets who will likely vote for Democrats if they do vote, but who are unlikely to vote unless someone compels them, knocks on their door, and asks them to vote. So as you go to the doors, you'll want to knock, ring their doorbell. I know a lot of people have those weird contraptions now where you hit the button. Now, when someone does answer, you will have a script that we'll talk about here in just a moment that you can go through line by line, get to the questions. And I think a lot of time when you're first starting, that can be useful to get comfortable with knocking on doors. But I would say the best thing to do is to just try to have a conversation with the people that answer. So talk, whatever it is that seems most important to you about voting for Democrats, whatever it is that will start a natural conversation from you. And if they're not home, you will want to leave literature on their door. Keep in mind, you cannot put literature inside someone's mailbox. So you'll want to leave it on the door, either inside the frame of the door, roll it up, put it in the door handle. Usually you can find some way to get it to stay on the door. Now, you probably will feel nervous when you walk to your first door if you have not done this before. When I'm knocking doors again, I'm always nervous. Those first couple doors, almost hope that they don't answer. But after you have a few conversations, you'll find that they typically go the same few ways, and you will become more comfortable with it after just a few tries. So I would also like to talk here about a few things that make some people uncomfortable when they're canvassing, and to let you know that this is just like talking to people. It's something that might feel weird at first, but you get used to pretty quickly. One is walking into people's fences. I did get some great advice one time that I've always used. Before I open a fence, I will jingle it, because if there is a dog in the yard that you don't see, it definitely will come running. The other thing is no soliciting signs. We are protected with First Amendment rights. If someone does bring it up to you, which is pretty rare, but if someone does, you can just tell them that, like, I'm not selling anything. If someone does have a sign up that explicitly says no politics, something like that, there's a few of those that have like a picture of a gun and say don't knock on my door. That's fine. Don't knock on those doors. Whenever you show up to go canvassing, you will be given one of these packets. It has a map on the front that you can use as a general guide. However, this same map, as we will see in a moment, will be loaded into your phone through the app Minivan. On the inside of the packet, we do have the script on one side. Now this will be the same script that you'll have in your phone. It is here for you if that's what you're more comfortable with. On this side, we have general talking points. You might want to read these before you go out. So they talk about Bennett, Polis, and Torres outside of the script. And on the back, we have a how to use Minivan guide. Again, I'll be going over this in just a moment, but this is here for you while you're walking in case a question comes to mind. And on the bottom here will be the phone number of your canvas captain. So that is the person that you will be able to call while you're out if you have any general questions about what it is that you're doing. Now let's talk about using the app Minivan on your phone. Sorry for the interruption. I realized while I was editing this that I forgot to ask everyone to make sure to bring a charged phone with you when you come to canvass. Thank you. So I will be going through on this device and you'll be able to see what I'm doing right here. I'll go ahead and open the app Minivan. The first thing that you'll need to do is either log in with your Action ID which will be the login you used if you've done anything with Van before. If you don't have one, you can click Create Your Action ID, and this page will come up here. And from here, you can enter in your email address and password that you want and log in that way. I already have an Action ID, so I'm going to click Login with Action ID, and mine's saved. If you don't remember your password, you will have to go through the process of clicking Don't Remember Password, going to your email and resetting it. You will only have to do this one time though. So if you are planning on helping to canvass through the whole GOTV period, just keep in mind that's something you only have to do one time. So now that I am in Minivan, I will want to enter in a list. Your list number will be at the top of the packet that you received. It will be a number by the word list. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for this packet. And so it comes up and asks, please canvass safely. Whether you want to wear a mask or not is up to you. Now that I'm in the list, you'll see that a map has come up and then there's addresses at the bottom. I'm going to pull that address information down for now. I will bring it up again to show you how to use Minivan that way. In the top right, there is something that looks sort of like a crosshair. If you click that, it zooms in on your current location. Now, this isn't too useful for me right now because I'm down at the office, but that can be really useful to use once you're walking around your portion of the map to see where you are specifically. Now, as I zoom in to my map, you see as I zoom in, it starts to spread out the target addresses and lets me see about what street they're on. You'll see this 4 right here. That indicate that with a slightly darker blue, that indicates that I am not zoomed in enough to see all of the locations there yet. So as I zoom in a little more, now they come up. Now, when you click a location, it pulls up the exact address. So this is the way that I use Minivan to find where I want to go next. I then look for the address that I want to get to. Now, when I click this, it brings up the 2 targets at this location. Now, again, these are 2 people that are gonna be likely to vote for Dems if we can get them to vote. And I see from the information here, one is named Timothy Caldwell, a 54-year-old male, unaffiliated. The other is Hillary Ortiz Santiago, a 30-year-old female who is a Democrat. And when someone answers the door, I say my name. You know, I'm John Jarrell. I'm out walking with the Democratic Party, and then I confirm with them that this is the person, you know. And once I have that confirmed, I can click. So say it's Hillary who answers the door. It brings up the script. Now I'm actually going to click hide script because I don't like to read off of my phone. And now I have a series of questions that should be answered before I close out the ID on this particular person. So again, you can get to these questions from the script or figure out the answers through natural conversation, but you want to make sure that you answer all of them. So up here I see, do they support Bennett? And it's going to be a system of 1 through 5, essentially. 1 means they're a strong supporter. 2 means they lean in our direction. 3 means they're undecided. 4 means they lean GOP. And 5 means that they're a full GOP supporter, which should be rare on these lists. Now, it is up to you to decide what you think is the answer to this question. So for this person, let's say I marked them as lean Bennett. Let's say that this person was a strong Polis and they leaned Dem generally. We really want to make sure we answer all 3 of these because it's this last question that's the data that we can give to the local Democrats. So there are two more questions here that I'd like to talk about briefly. If you're watching this the weekend of the 15th and the 16th, we are not yet asking this question voting method. So just leave this question blank for now. If you are watching this after ballots have been mailed out, if this is Saturday the 22nd or later, you want to make sure that you also ask this question about voting method. So are they going to vote by going to one of the drop boxes? Are they going to mail it? Are they going to go to one of the in-person voting centers? Or have they not received their ballot yet? And depending on their answer, you will have an additional bit of paperwork that has a response that tells them, based on their location, what the best plan is to get the ballot in the way that they've chosen to. There is another question that asks, are they willing to volunteer? You obviously want to save this question for people who seem excited about the Democratic candidates. You don't want people to say, yeah, I might vote for Bennett, I might vote for Polis, I might vote for the Dems, and then ask them, well, do you want to volunteer for us? Now, when I back out, because I've answered questions about this person, you see that that household has turned blue. And again, when you're looking at the map, this helps guide you to your next location because you can see which ones you've already done. Now let me go back in there since those were not real answers, and let me unclick those. And let me show you a couple of other ways that you can answer questions about a person. So I'm going to go back in, and let's say neither one of these people were home. Different phones have different ways of being able to mark people as not home from this screen. You can either hold it down and it pops up with these options: mark lit drop, mark not home, cancel. What we want to do is mark people as not home. So mark as lit drop is for different kinds of efforts where they're not canvassing. So what we want to do in this campaign is only mark not home. So I'll mark that as not home, hold down this next one. No one answered, or someone answered and it was neither of the targets, I will mark them both not home. Now on some phones, you can swipe right to do the same thing. So instead of holding down the names, you can swipe right. And when I back out, you can see that it's orange. So again, it helps me to know which households I have been at. Now let me unclick that data again and show you one last thing here. So if I do click on a target, so I'll click on Hillary's name here, there are other answers that are far less frequent than not home that you can enter in to explain why you were not able to contact that person. So if I click this, I can see that I can also answer that the person refused. And we don't want to use that one too often, but once we've ID'd that we are speaking to the person and they've just refused to answer any questions, we want to use that one. Inaccessible, that the most common inaccessible target would be one where a fence is locked or a door is locked to even get into an apartment. And there are other options such as deceased and moved that you will sometimes need to mark. So a couple of other things here. There are other ways to find your next target besides using the map like I've shown here. One, I can pull up this group of addresses, and let's say I'm looking for Brookside Street because that's the street that I'm on. So I'll put in Brookside, and now it's brought up all of the households on Brookside. So if you're more comfortable finding addresses this way, pulling up this list and then going down the street and reading the addresses that are up here, that option is there for you. That's not the way that I use it, but some people do. Now let me pull that down. Another option you see is next door. Now we don't teach to use this, we teach not to use it. So when you click next door, it brings up a list and it tries to predict what your next door should be. However, we found that this ends up confusing people and taking them on weird paths. So we do not recommend using next door. One other thing when you are entering information in about someone, so let me just come to a random target here and click on their account, there is this option at the top here that says Notes. And when you enter in Notes, you can put in any message that you want. There are situations that just don't fit into the questionnaire, or there is a conversation that you had and you found out something about the person that you would like us to know. Please put that into the notes under that person's account.